So I want to just officially welcome you all to the last, sad, the last webinar of the learning journey, birthing of Bioregional Learning Centers, and the celebration of our time and what we've all accomplished together. And then also, we're going to spend a fair amount of time sharing where we're going from here and what this learning journey has put in place that'll enable us to grow into the next phase of our work. Because as we all know here in the design school, this work is the work of at least 200 years, maybe 500 years, maybe longer. And that is assuming that humans don't go extinct with the massive disruption to our planetary systems that are occurring. And so we're in this very serious time with a need for really deep transformational work. And a lot of this work we will not see the benefits of because the timeframes we're working on are much longer than a human lifetime. And so what I want to do today is, in a sense, reinforce that understanding in a microcosm by showing what we've done in 6 months, which is actually quite impressive, what we've done in 6 months. And now that 6 months of work is preparing us for the next year of work. And one of the things that we'll share a little bit of a glimpse into today is what the next learning journey is going to be about, based on what we've learned from you during this learning journey and what we've seen out in the world that we feel is needed. And that we're holding the niche in the design school for a specific focus that we think we're very strongly situated to build on behalf of the larger movement. And so what we want to do today is celebrate what we've done. So we'll spend a little time covering the ground of what was this learning journey and what did we do in these last 6 months and what have we built that will last, even if we did nothing else. But then also what is already happening that's going to continue. And I think what you'll see is that the work of the learning journey creates very important structure and stability for other things to accumulate. But actually the other work that is not officially part of the learning journey is probably 10 times as much stuff that's happening in the design school, meaning that the learning journey itself is maybe 10% of the activity of the design school at this point in time. So the ending of the of the learning journey is not the ending of the design school. It's the ending of a specific stage of focus and work. And so that'll be very clear today. And then we want to have time after the presentation to be able to celebrate, to harvest. And we'll do this also on Thursday in Thursday's design session. But we want to be able to share how have you been changed by this learning journey? What is beautiful that you want to celebrate that's happened for you? Did you make new friendships? Did you learn something? Did you create something? Did you bring something into the realm of what is possible that wasn't possible before, even if you're still building it? And so on. And so we want to have some time for that harvesting of celebration, that sense of celebrating together what we've done. Because celebration and festival is a huge part of community and it's something that is often overlooked. But if we don't celebrate, then we don't actually build community. So we want to build real community that can last. So with that said, I want to go ahead and start the presentation so that I don't keep you lingering any longer in anticipation. And then afterwards, we'll have lots of time for conversation. So with no further ado, let's get started. So the main thing that I want to emphasize as we start the learning journey, or start the webinar, bringing the learning journey to a close, is I chose this image on purpose. This is a scientific visualization of the Earth showing some patterns of air pollution coming off of different parts of the continents, showing that the atmosphere and the ocean and the continents are all interacting with each other. And I thought this image was both visually beautiful and somewhat sober, a reminder that we're actually in the midst of very dangerous times and that we're entering into times that are even more dangerous. And so as we celebrate the learning journey, we're celebrating it to see what comes next in continuing to work within the planetary predicament that we're in. And that this work is sacred work, it's holy work, it's spiritual work, because what's happening to the planet is so severe. So I want to start by just reminding us Why are we doing these learning journeys? Why does the design school exist? Why are all of us doing regenerative work in our communities? And this is something we talked about in our very first webinar 6 months ago, which is that we now have documented evidence that of the 9 planetary boundaries that determine the safety of humanity at a planetary scale, if we cross only one planetary boundary, we're in danger. And as of right now, with the best scientific knowledge we have, we've confirmed that we've crossed at least 7 of the 9. So we've crossed 7 planetary boundaries. And while a lot of people talk about climate change as if it's the end all for all of everything, climate change is only one of the 7 planetary boundaries that we've crossed. We've also crossed biosphere integrity, which is the rate of extinction and the rate of habitat destruction. Land system change, which is the destruction of ecosystems to create cities, agriculture, and other kinds of degraded landscapes. The use of fresh water and contamination of freshwater systems, the biogeochemical flows primarily of phosphorus and nitrogen associated with our agricultural systems, ocean acidification being caused by pollution, by mass die-offs in the ocean, and by climate change, and novel entities, in particular, the introduction of microplastics into every body of water on Earth. And so we've crossed all these planetary boundaries, and we're already fully in the danger zone, and we have been for a long time. So the work that we need to do is to work together to regenerate the Earth. Another thing that we've explored in this learning journey, and I'd like to ask whoever doesn't have themselves muted, if you could mute yourself, because we can hear some sound in the background. Thank you. That when we look at, and if not, I'll need to go in and mute on everyone's behalf. All right, I think I'll go ahead and do that. Just a second. Sorry, sometimes I have someone help me with this, but I didn't ask anyone to be my assistant today. There we go. So now we can go back in. So what I want to emphasize is that when we understand how the Earth works as a holistic system, and in the Earth systems part of the design school, I gave webinars earlier this year on the tipping points of the Earth system, the human dimensions of the Earth system. For the R3.0 conference that's happening next week, that's focused on collapse resilience, I participated in 2 sessions on how we create positive tipping points as the negative tipping points are passed. And what we could see is understanding the dynamics and the processes of the Earth as a whole tell us that we need to organize ourselves as bioregions, and we need to work together to restore these Earth system processes if we're going to regenerate the Earth. And that this is vital to the long-term survival of humanity in the future. And so what that means is we need to do regeneration at the bioregional scale, at the scale of holistic life systems. And in order to do that, we need to have bioregional learning centers that are born all over the world. So Victoria, I see that you have yourself unmuted. Could you please mute yourself? Because you're creating some noise for the group. And right now Penny's logging in to do some tech support to be sure we don't have noise in the background. That basically, this is one of the big lessons. We created this learning journey to help people learn how to organize at the bioregional scale so that we could help bioregions to learn at the bioregional scale all over the world. That means we need to create bioregional learning centers all over the world. And this learning journey has helped set that in motion, where now several bioregional learning centers are taking form that were not taking form in March when we started. And that this is a really essential purpose of the learning journey itself. So I just wanted to review what happened in the learning journey. The learning journey was divided into 3 phases, 3 parts that we basically divided into the first 3 months and the second 3 months. But in the first 3 months, we had 2 kinds of webinars. The ones listed in blue were webinars that were basically to create a common cultural understanding and a shared context. So we had a kickoff for the learning journey explaining what to expect, how it was going to work, what is the design school, so that we would know how to collaborate together for 6 months. Then we had a webinar on bioregional learning centers. What is a bioregional learning center? Let's be sure we have some shared understanding about what that is. Then a third webinar, what is bioregional learning? How do we learn how to live in place so that we can have a shared understanding of what are the elements of a bioregional learning center? And these are the ones in blue. So these are like basic foundational concepts for creating a bioregional learning center. The ones in green, the next three webinars, are what you have to build to create a bioregional learning center. You need to create a bioregional information commons. So we had a webinar about how we create and share data, how we create inventories of learning programs and learning processes, how different learning organizations come together as ecosystems that function as a commons for the bioregion as a whole. Then we talked about funding ecosystems, because you can't create a bioregional learning center without funding all the learning that needs to happen. So we need to talk about how you create funding systems that support learning and regeneration at the bioregional scale. And then the final webinar in the first 3 months was on bioregional governance, that we have to have ways of creating shared agendas, setting priorities, making decisions about allocating resources, about coordinating actions. And so creating basic elements of bioregional governance is essential for creating a bioregional learning center. So you can see in this first 3 months, we had 6 sessions, because there was a session every other week. And in those 6 sessions, we laid the cultural foundations for shared learning. And then we went into the second 3 months, which was the design and build phase of actually creating bioregional learning centers in all of our landscapes. In that design build phase, we had 6 more webinars. One on the birthing of the Bioregional Learning Center in Barichara, Colombia, which is one that I gave. Then the birthing of the Bioregional Learning Center in Tarn-et-Garonne in France, that was given by Maria Elena and her team with Karsten. And that was another very different context with a different example and a different approach. And then we had Neil Davidson share lessons from Down Under about attempts to create systemic transformation at the scale of a territory in Australia. So again, just learning from real world contexts, how challenging this work is, and to share our learnings between different bioregions. And then I gave another webinar about the work in Barichara, focusing on learning with children and how children create a pattern of coherence for intergenerational learning that brings all kinds of bioregional learning processes together within a territory. And then we had Isabel Carlisle 2 weeks ago share the story of the Bioregional Learning Center that's based in South Devon in the UK, which is yet another real-world example. And in these 5 contexts, we saw very different approaches to creating bioregional learning centers that are being developed by us here in the design school. And as all of this was happening, by the way, our 6th webinar is the one today, bringing us to closure, and harvesting and celebrating. While all of this learning was happening, the regional groups that formed as part of the learning journey were meeting every other week. And every other week, Penny would give activities and homework assignments that were related to the webinars and the design sessions. And so now there are regional groups in Marin Sonoma, for Western Europe, for the Mediterranean, and many, many other areas. And all of these bioregions are beginning to organize themselves to figure out, how do we build our own bioregional learning centers? What this means is during the entire 6 months of the learning journey, we've been weaving people around their own local geography and around the shared purpose of creating bioregional learning centers, which means we've created a lot of structures in the last 6 months, not just the webinars. And so to sort of summarize, this is how the year 2024 has happened, that the learning journey took place between March and September. And during those 6 months, we created several things that are highly valuable and that are existing materials to build upon for what we do next. One of the biggest things is we create a shared culture around bioregional learning. We had about 100 people attend the first webinar. We consistently had more than 50 people attending every webinar afterwards as live participants. Right now, we have about 70 participants in this learning journey that are participating live. And then we have a lot of people in the design school who watch the recordings later. So we're creating shared understandings. What is a bioregion? How do you do bioregional mapping? Which is one of the things that happened in parallel with the learning journey earlier this year. How do you organize a bioregional learning center? How do you organize your own regional group to start coordinating these things? All of this shared culture was emerging throughout the last 6 months. Also, A lot of new friendships formed. People met each other through the design school, and you all know each other now. We're all friends, and many of us didn't know each other a few months ago. We also have an archive of all 12 webinar recordings, including the one today. So we have all of those organized as resources in the learning journey. So anyone who's in the design school could go back and watch any of those webinar recordings. We also have regional coordinating groups. They were formed, they exist, and they can continue to function after the learning journey ends. We have archives of meetings from all of the regional coordinating groups. I don't even know the number of meetings that we have archived in the design school. 100, 150, a lot. And we have resource hubs for each of these coordinating groups where all of these meetings are archived, which means at any time you can go and watch earlier meetings of how those groups were organizing themselves. Those archives are organized in the design school. We also have an archive of all of the design sessions. There will be 12 in total, with the last one being this Thursday. So we'll have an archive of all of the design sessions that you could go back and watch at any time. And throughout this 6-month period, we built and designed and innovated different learning scaffolds for how to learn within bioregions and between them, things that didn't exist at the beginning of the year. And all of those things are functioning now and happening. So even as the learning journey comes to an end, we have all these things to work with. And just noticing this set of materials, we have everything we need for a self-guided learning journey. So any member of the design school can join 1 year from now, 5 years from now, and they could go through the learning journey, birthing of bioregional learning centers, in the area of the design school that's called the self-guided learning journeys. So you could do a self-guided learning journey with these archived content, which means this learning journey can serve new people who didn't attend the first time around. So look at all this stuff we created. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? How much has happened in the last 6 months. But also, the design school continues when the learning journey ends. So I just want to start to name some of the things that do not end this week. For one thing, a lot of the regional groups are still continuing. We encourage all of you to continue meeting, to continue recording your meetings and sharing them into the resource hubs of the design school so that you can learn with other people in the design school. The inner space, which Penny has been hosting with storytelling circles, heart circles, and various other activities, the courageous conversations and more, all of those activities of the inner space are going to continue to happen. And Penny's going to talk more about that in a moment. The design labs and work groups like dryland restoration or the Biore Regenerative Finance Lab and other things that are happening in the school. Those member offerings, those member-hosted learnings will continue to happen in the design school. Also, the bioregional updates where we share our learnings between our bioregions, that's going to continue. And the live learnings, the different kinds of online live offerings, and Penny's going to share a couple of new ones that are coming from members of the design school teaching each other that are going to start to happen. And as all of this is occurring, and you're going to see in a moment that we're going to show you how the schedule's structured, how you can see, how you can participate in these activities. But with all of these things that were already happening that are going to continue, there's also something new that's beginning, something really big and really important. And I want to talk about that now. The new thing that we're creating is the Earth Regeneration Fund. In April of 2020, I gave a webinar called the Creating the Earth Regeneration Fund, back when I was creating the platform of Earth Regenerators, which grew to several thousand members and lasted for almost 4 years. And the Earth Regeneration Fund was one of the things we talked about creating there, but it never quite came into being. The direction of the work went more towards supporting regenerative practitioners and regenerative projects. And so the work of the Earth Regeneration Fund had to wait. Now, in the design school, we have all of the support systems in place to create it. The Earth Regeneration Fund has a focus and a mission on supporting a network of bioregional funding ecosystems, which we are starting to create. And the way that we're going to create the Earth Regeneration Fund is that Penny and I are going to create a new US-based nonprofit that is going to be the home, the legal home of the Earth Regeneration Fund. But how are we going to create it? We're going to create it by working with 6 bioregional contexts where there are local leaders already working in their landscapes to create a bioregional funding ecosystem. And we're going to work with each of these regions through the design school throughout the next year. So in Cascadia, with Regenerate Cascadia, they're working on creating a bioregional funding ecosystem. And we're going to learn from them, bring them support, help them, and weave what they're doing with learning exchanges in the design school. In the Ogallala Aquifer, which is in the Great Plains of North America, and is the watershed that supports the food supply of about 2 billion humans, and the Ogallala is being depleted, there's a group of people working to organize around creating an Ogallala Regeneration Fund for regenerating the Great Plains of North America. Here where Penny and I live, there's the Biore Regeneration Fund and the work we're doing with our foundation, Biore Regenerativa, creating 4 different regenerative funds and an ecosystem of projects here in Colombia. Also, led by the Legacy Project with Brian and Susan, is the Greater Takaranto bioregions bioregional funding ecosystem that we've been working with them, but they've been leading the work on the ground to build for a long time. And they're about to organize their first immersion for catalyzing that funding ecosystem into being in Southern Ontario, in the area around the Greater Toronto area and Lake Ontario. Also, the Forest of the Northeast, organized around New England and parts of Nova Scotia in North America, is beginning to envision a bioregional funding ecosystem for the regeneration of their territory. And in collaboration with our work in Barichara, Colombia, we're helping to create the Northern Andes Regeneration Fund with 10 territories organized in different parts of the Northern Andes throughout Colombia. So we have all of these contexts where this work is happening, and we're helping create frameworks and scaffolding and bringing financial support into the landscapes. So all of this work is being kicked off in the Greater Takaranto bioregion in about 2 weeks, where we've invited representatives from these different landscapes to come together in Toronto for a 5-day event. And at that event, we're going to envision together the learning exchange process for the next year. And then we're going to set up some relationships for how each of the bioregions can do their own in-person immersive design event, with the GTB immersions already being organized for November, a Barichara immersion being organized in February, and the other immersions to be determined exactly when they occur, but sometime in the next year, which means starting in September for the following year, we're going to be prototyping the Earth Regeneration Fund by helping to create funding ecosystems in all of these landscapes, while at the same time creating the nonprofit organization based in the United States that will be able to receive funding and pass it through to the local bioregional funds and funding ecosystems of all of these landscapes. So you can already see there are a lot of bioregions that have been organizing in this learning journey that are not on this picture, which means, Maria Elena, we might work with you on setting up a funding ecosystem in France. We might work with different groups in the UK. We might work in the Mediterranean. We might work in other areas of Latin America. All of that is to be discovered throughout the next year as we're setting all of this in motion. Now, one little thing that we've been doing is we've been asking you to pay membership dues, $5 a month or $50 a year. And we use those membership dues to pay for the cost of our Mighty Networks platform, to pay for our Zoom accounts, to pay for web hosting, some basic things. But Penny and I are funded by a Novo Foundation grant. So we actually accumulate surplus money, which means we're going to put all of that surplus money into the Earth Regeneration Fund. So you, as a dues-paying member of the design school, are already contributing $5 a month into the Earth Regeneration Fund that we're about to start creating in earnest. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So even if you're not an active member of the design school and you're not able to participate very much, just by paying your membership dues, you're contributing money to the Earth Regeneration Fund. And we're going to be using part of that funding to support design school members in ways that we'll talk about more in a moment, as well as through the next year. So what this means is the direction the design school is going is we're moving toward more learning taking place in the landscapes of design school members, and less that's occurring, proportionally speaking, less that's occurring online. The way that we're doing this is we're going to start to help organizing local immersions, local in-person events in a bioregion near you. What I mean by that is that you could organize an immersion in your bioregion, or you could go to another bioregion nearby or one that you live in that someone else is organizing, because at the design school, we will be helping you to organize those immersions. And one role of the Earth Regeneration Fund is to help bioregions to organize themselves for their own regeneration, which means some of this funding can do things like provide travel support for design school members to go to an immersion so that they can participate in these learnings and help catalyze the organizing of those bioregional regeneration processes. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about this in the coming weeks and months. I just wanted to paint the big picture that as we end this learning journey, we're moving into a big focus on the Earth Regeneration Fund and bioregional funding ecosystems. And we are just jumping in running, and a lot of things are about to happen. So if you were to look at the schedule between now and September 2024 and December of next year in 2025, you would see that you could come to an immersion in Barichara that Penny and I are organizing in February. We'll share an announcement about that in the design school in the next week or so. So if you want to come to Barichara, why don't you come when all of the other design school members are coming? It'll be sometime in the middle of February. We're going to set the dates and send out an announcement to everyone in the design school sometime in the next 2 weeks, so you could start organizing your travel to come join us there. And another big announcement is our next learning journey is going to be on how to organize your bioregion. Because something that Penny and I have observed in the regional coordinating groups of this learning journey is that a lot of people really want to organize their bioregions, but they don't know how. They don't know how to talk about this with their neighbors. They don't know how to get people excited to be involved. They don't know how to set up basic patterns and structures of bioregional learning, bioregional governance, funding, and so on. And so next year's learning journey, starting in March, is going to be about how to organize your bioregion. And one way we're going to catalyze that is we're going to help organize immersions in lots of other bioregions, organized by you as design school members. Notice that I put one before the Barichara immersion because Brian and Susan are already planning an immersion for their funding ecosystem in the GTB to take place in November, and the Barichara immersion will take place in February. And part of our purpose in meeting 2 weeks from now in Toronto is for the representatives of the different bioregions that we're working with in the cohort for bioregional funding ecosystems, is for us to schedule the immersions so they don't conflict with each other. So design school members can physically join and attend any of them that you like. So what we see is throughout the next year, we hope that there will be a lot of immersions in different bioregions around the world, organized by design school members, supported by the scaffolding of next year's learning journey, and by what we've learned already after 2 years of doing bioregional activations, and also supported by the work of creating bioregional funding ecosystems, which is going to enable us to bring seed funding to 4 bioregions, which is part of what we're going to discuss in 2 weeks, is how to allocate $120,000 of funding into the process of creating bioregional funding ecosystems that will support these immersions and the design and organizing work in several bioregions around the world. Pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? So as all of this is happening, just to name the learning scaffolds that are going to continue as the learning journey comes to an end. One thing is the Connection Center is very active, which includes the inner space, the constellation work, and the member lounge. The Bioregional Learning Exchange space, which is very active, will hold the bioregional updates that I'll show on a graphic in a moment, how the schedule will look for this. The Learning Exchange space for bioregional exchanges, the regional groups that continue organizing to have their resource hubs and to organize their events and their gatherings. And there are already resource hubs for like a dozen bioregions. There's a huge amount of content on the Mighty Networks platform. So the Bioregional Learning Exchange is going to be a very important space for you to visit. The Live Learning Center, which is where this learning journey is taking place now, is going to continue with themed dialogues, which is course offerings and other one-time offerings by members of the design school, together with other course offerings that we'll create as we go along. And Penny's going to talk about a couple of them that'll become public soon. Also, the design labs and work groups will continue. Right now, that is the dryland restoration work group and the Bioregional Finance Lab, but there will be more coming soon as well. All of that's going to continue. And the self-guided learning center, which has all of our previous learning journeys, and we'll soon have this one. So it's going to have the birthing BLCs, self-guided learning journey, and there are many more. I think there are 7 or 8 of them in there right now. Each of these learning journeys is like between 5 and 15 webinars structured with learning activities that you can do in a self-paced way. So you can see all of this stuff is going to continue. And big announcement too, Penny and I have learned that a lot of people want to be bioregional leaders in organizing and regenerating their bioregions, but they don't know how. So we're going to start a Bioregional Leaders Guild that is going to take over the time slot we're in right now, the time of the webinars of the learning journey. So during the next 6 months, when there's not a learning journey, we're going to be hosting bi-weekly, so every other week, a Bioregional Leaders Guild. And if you would like to join, we'll post the event soon and you can sign up, where we're going to learn together about our common struggles, about what it means to be a bioregional leader, about how we can share our learnings and practices in different landscapes, how we might choose to visit each other in our landscapes to build more leadership, and so on. The Bioregional Leaders Guild is going to start in a couple of weeks, and we'll post the event soon. So you can just see there's a ton of stuff that's going on in the design school, way out, in addition to the learning journey itself. And all of this is going to continue in the design school. And we're going to take these 4 key elements, which is recurring activities in the inner space, this new Bioregional Leaders Guild, the bioregional updates, and the Bioregional Finance Lab expanding into a regenerative finance lab. They're going to continue on a regular schedule that maintains the rhythm that the learning journey was in. So let's look at that now. There's a 2-week cycle of these core activities that build coherence for everything else in the design school. And before, meaning during the last 6 months, this first week was on Tuesday, there was a Birthing Bioregional Learning Centers webinar. And on Thursdays, there was a design session. And then on the alternate week, there was an inner space session on Tuesdays and a finance lab on Fridays. And also on that alternate week, all of the regional coordinating groups would meet. And this 2-week cycle creates regularity and predictability of the school as a whole. Well, what we're going to do now is basically keep the schedule exactly the same. But instead of a webinar for the learning journey, we're going to host the Bioregional Leaders Guild. So if you want to sign up for the Bioregional Leaders Guild and you have time to come to today's webinar, there will be this time slot for the Leaders Guild, and we'll be announcing that soon. And the design sessions are going to just become bioregional updates, which is where you can come to share what's happening in your landscape or to learn from what's happening in all of the other landscapes in the school. And the alternate week is going to stay the same as before. On Tuesday will be the inner space. On Friday will be a finance lab, and the regional coordinating groups will continue meeting. So this schedule is going to continue just on the same rhythm after the learning journey ends. But these changes are going to take place in October because Penny and I need a little more time to recover from dengue. And we're going to spend a week in Toronto in a couple of weeks, helping kick off this process of bioregional funding ecosystems and the Earth Regeneration Fund. So we're going to set this schedule to begin for the beginning of October, right after we return, which will give everyone a little bit of a break. The next couple of weeks will be a little bit lighter schedule in the design school, but we're going to set all these things in motion, post the events so you can sign up to join them starting in October. And so with all of that said, let's just take a pause. We have done so much in the last 6 months, it's kind of astonishing. And so much more is happening in the design school that it might make your head spin. But Penny wants to take a moment now and talk about some of the new things that are happening so that you'll know they're coming, because you might want to sign up for some of these when the announcements come out. So now I'm going to pass it over to Penny to talk about some of the upcoming attractions of the design school.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so if all of that wasn't enough, there's actually a lot more going on. In addition to what Joe has shared. Joe, could you share the screen of the design school platform for me?
Done with that. Here you are.
Great. Okay, so what I want to talk through is some of the main centers of the school and what's going to be going on over the next few months, in addition to what Joe just shared. So if you're looking on this main menu here, I'm going to go down first to the connection center here. This is where the inner space and the regenerative constellations are happening, and also the member lounge. I think you all know about the member lounge, which is where you can just post resources and connect with other members. But in the inner space, as Joe was saying, we have a regular rhythm every other Tuesday with different kinds of sessions, heart circles. We've been doing and cultivating our inner capacities series, storytelling circles, member-led events on every other Tuesday. But in addition to that, we also have campfires going on Wednesday nights. We have a Courageous Conversations series with Ann Billen and Neil Davidson happening on Mondays, every other Monday. And we're going to be also having Megan Lindau is going to come in to the inner space and lead a group on plant observation for inner transformation. And she's going to do 2 sessions starting in October. So the inner space itself is very active with not just the Tuesday sessions, but some additional series that are being led by members. So then in the Live Learning Center, that our birthing BLC's learning journey is going to move into the self-guided area, but coming up, yeah, on the bottom there. But then coming up in November, something exciting that is happening is one of our members, Elias, is going to be leading a PDC in the design school, an online PDC, which is a permaculture design course. He's going to lead that from November 15th through March 28th. It's going to be a 72-hour course that anybody in the design school can join. There's going to be a small fee for it, but it'll be way less than most PDCs. And Elias is, anybody who knows Elias knows that he's incredible. So I'm really, really excited about that. That's going to be coming. And then we're going to be continuing with some themed dialogues offered by some of our members coming up. We already know about 2. Anna Jacopetti is going to be talking about how children learn. How do we trust our children to lead their education? And she might be starting a book club. We're just going to have to see how that goes. And then Chris Deal is also going to be leading a session, and others. So just keep watching that space. The theme dialogue space is a space where any of our members can lead a series of events or just one event. And then if we scroll down to the Bioregional Learning Exchange space. So Joe talked a little bit about this. We just opened this up in a little bit of a different format within the school. You can see in this Learning Exchange Center at the top is our Central Learning Exchange space here. Can you click on that one? Yeah. This is where all of the events, all the regional groups are posting their events, and where we're going to be hosting the Bioregional Updates session itself that is going to happen in that regular rhythm Joe talked about. And it's the main feed for our learning exchange. So all the bioregions, when they're sharing about, their recordings, or they're sharing about, like Richard just shared about his story of birthing his bioregional learning center in the UK. And so you can see here, this is the main feed for the learning exchange. And then below that, these are all the resource hubs that Joe was talking about for all of the regions organizing. And you can see, if you click on Bodhichara's, there's recordings from all the sessions that Joe has held around Bodhichara. There's all kinds of different resources, and each hub is different. And they're continually adding their recordings and their sessions and their resources. So, and there's probably 3 or 4 new ones opening up in the next few weeks. So you can always check back here and see what's going on. And then scroll down under this to the design labs and work groups. This is what Joe was talking about. The regenerative finance lab is here. Then that's happening every other Friday. And then the TEK to regenerate drylands is starting up again in September in the fall. And bioregional mapping work group is most likely going to be starting up, from what we're hearing from Brandon, early next year. So, and then I think that's it. The Self-Guided Learning Center, this is where Joe already talked about. We're going to be moving the birthing BLC's learning journey down to here, and you can explore all of these already curated learning journeys for yourself. So that's it. And I'll pass it over to Joe again.
So you can just see there's a ton going on. And what we see happening is increasing coherence across the movement as we have members of the design school exploring all these ways of learning together, and then also interacting in other communities. And so there's a lot that is happening in the design school to build coherence for the movement. And so I just wanted to very briefly remind us, what is the mission of the design school? Which is regenerating the bioregions of Earth and building a planetary network of learning exchanges. And you can see very clearly that that is indeed what we are doing. And I just wanted to just name something that we didn't really talk about very much, but is really important, which is that the design school is governed by natural rhythms. And principally, if you look from the year from January to December, that the learning journey takes place starting and ending on the equinoxes. That's why it runs from March to September, which means the solstices happen alternatively around the equinoxes. And so we can think of this time of the learning journey coming to an end as a time of harvesting and celebration, as a time of coming into the way that we plan and dream and prepare for the next cycle of our work, and that we go inward for renewal so that we're refreshed and ready to begin again. But then when the new cycle starts, we can prepare the soils for new growth, and new life begins to emerge, which initiates the new cycles. So as this learning journey comes to an end, we have all of these activities that are continuing that will bring us to the next learning journey in March of next year, focused on how to organize your bioregion. And this is a cycle that allows us to have an annual cycle and a bi-weekly cycle and a monthly cycle that all work in harmony with each other, which is why so much complexity has been able to emerge through the design school, is we intentionally designed around the rhythms of nature as the foundation of all of our work. And that's visible here with where we place the learning journey as we structure everything else around it. And so we'd love to celebrate the harvest of our time together. We love to start now by bringing the presentation to an end and coming back into conversation with each other to share our experiences of what has it been like in the last 6 months for those of you who were able to join us and that were here for all of it or for part of it, or just in participating in some of the organizing that's happening, even if you couldn't attend the webinars. What we see is that this work is meant to blend itself into real world context in a way that actually becomes a little confusing to see where one begins and the other one ends, because we need to support each other for coherence. And so I see that there are a ton of comments that I haven't been able to look at because we're in presentation. So I just want to make space for those, although I might catch up on them in a minute. And just invite right now any comments or questions about what we presented in the webinar today, and also any comments or sharings you'd like to give about your experience of the learning journey. Are there things you'd like to share about how your life has been changed, what you've learned, and so on? And if you could use the hand raising feature.
Oh yeah, you said you did it in.
If you could use the hand raising feature, so go down to reactions and raise your hand, then we can take them in order because there are quite a few of us here on this call. But I'd love to hear any comments, questions, reflections, harvests.
We're also going to be continuing this process on Thursday, just so you know.
Yeah. So we just love to hear from you. Is there anything that you'd like to share or any questions that you have? Adrian, please, welcome.
Yeah, I got quite a bit out of the breakout rooms and the conversations. I, and it gives me the idea as you were talking is that I wonder if there's a way with this in the self-guided learning things that you could suggest that people could form learning cohorts so they can watch and talk about it together in the self-learning thing. Yeah, something like that. Okay.
Oh, I love this idea. And I'll share that in the days of Earth Regenerators, which had about 5,000 members, so it really grew into a big online community, one of the most powerful things was a book club. And the book club was people that they started by reading my book, but then they picked other books. And then they'd sometimes watch a movie together and have discussions. And Anna Jacopetti is actually going to invite people to learn about her new book and start a book club. And so one way to do this is to, like a book club, you could start a cohort for a self-guided learning journey. Would anyone like to do this with me, where we watch a session every week and then have a call, which is like a book club, right? Like read a chapter of a book and have a discussion. And so just naming that this kind of self-organizing you can do in the member lounge, you could post it and suggest it. You could create an event in the Bioregional Learning Exchange and invite people to do a self-guided learning journey together. And of course, Penny and I can help you with this if this is something that you have challenges with the technology of posting things and so on. But yes, please, we would love to see more of that happening because there's so much great material on the platform. You can't go through it all. It's like it's too much. So to be able to go through it socially together with others, I think that's a fantastic idea. Thank you for suggesting that, Adrian. And Andra, welcome, welcome. Love to hear from you. Nice to see you.
Hi, thank you so much for this whole journey. I'm still in the process of plugging into the Cascadia group, but I met one of my neighbors just down the street from me is involved in bioregional work here in Portland, and I never would have met them without this learning journey. They're rewilding some of the land owned by the Oregon Department of Transportation across the street from us.
Oh.
And yeah, and then I've also deeply connected with the Lost Valley community and have been doing some volunteer work for them. And there's a possibility that I might come on to Regenerate Cascadia as kind of like a digital content creator. So I'm really excited for the opportunities and the connections that this has opened up for me and the perspectives that this has given me. And it's been a really good use of my time. So thank you so much to everyone here and especially to you, Joe and Penny.
Thank you, Andra. I'm just excited that you're getting to meet more people in your own community through this. To me, that's a clear sign something is working. So I'm curious, are there any other comments, questions? Melanie, please, welcome. Melanie Carlon? Oh, we can't hear you for some reason. Oh, I don't know what's going on. If maybe you need to change the audio settings, or another option would be to leave the Zoom and come back in, and sometimes it resets. But in the meantime, let's go to Tanash. Tanash, welcome.
Greetings, how are you? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my network is a bit bad because we don't have power right now. So that's the reason why I switched off my camera to try and get a secure network. But anyway, thank you very much for the support and for the work that you're doing. Each time I get onto this platform or to some of the work that is on this platform, I get really, really inspired, and it's very, very pragmatic. And we have been having serious discussions with the responsible authorities that we are trying to design something here in Zimbabwe, Africa. And I'm liking the fact that the approach is being well appreciated, and we are on a healthy trajectory as far as to start implementing some of the things and issues. So I really enjoyed it. And also I would like to thank Penny for the program, right? Because yeah, it's a lot, and for me it's more like the foundation of all these wildlife, especially when we manage to conquer our inner demons or our inner issues, and then be able to create something of substance from the top, on the top. So yeah, let's continue working, and let's continue engaging, and spread the knowledge, and yeah, the sky's the limit. Thank you so much, guys.
You want to say anything? No?
It's good to hear from you again, Tanash.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you, and to be continued for how we can help support the organizing you're doing in Zimbabwe. So let's definitely keep looking for new and exciting ways to do that. I'm so glad that you're here. Cassandra, over to you.
Thanks, Joe. One thing that I've been looking for in kind of regenerating bioregional living here, I'm from Idaho, which was very much a fire-dominated system, and I am now in Pennsylvania, which is more in the Northeast and more of a water-dominated system. And my biggest concern, and I guess what I feel like we need most, is resiliency. Like, how do we develop climate resiliency? We get floods a lot. I know there's a lot of really great permaculture things for dry lands, but I'm like, we have too much water. What do we do? So I guess that's kind of I'm not familiar with what to do with water type thing, and am searching for anyone who can help with developing resiliency to like natural disasters.
I am looking for this thing to go back there. I'm going to drop a message in the chat. You should check out Permatours, because Permatours is a project that is a network of permaculture projects in New England, started by a woman named Sydney Griffith, who's in Massachusetts. And they organize around exactly this kind of stuff in your region. And so go check them out, and go and do a permatour. Sydney said the last weekend they did this, made a huge hugelkultur bed with like 50 people somewhere in Massachusetts, but they're spread across New England. So I think it'd be great to connect into your local permaculture networks.
Yeah, and this is something that Roberta Hill, one of the organizers in the Forest of the Northeast, she's up in Maine. And that's something they're dealing with directly as well, is the too much water issue. So I don't know, you might want to reach out to her. She's one of the main organizers.
And I want to just read in the chat for Melanie Carlone, since her audio wasn't working. She said for her, the power of coming together, small and large groups, knowing others are going through similar inquiries and challenges, and creating such a powerful field of collaboration is helpful beyond measure. Kudos to Joe and Penny team, and to every one of you. I am different, more empowered, being from this experience. So thank you for that, Melanie. And I'm sorry we're having technical challenges, so you couldn't share it yourself. And then over to not related, Pat Carlone. Oh, Pat, you just took off your, okay, there. Come on in and welcome. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I've unmuted myself, right?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
I've been somewhat frustrated lately because seems things have kind of slowed down here with what I was expecting to do with a major organization on the watershed, and then the coastal Miwok contact I have. But this morning I got some ideas from just looking at what you presented and what we're thinking of doing going forward. And I think I need to try to reach out. There's a lot of other organizations, or I'm looking at my paper here. There's at least 3 I belong to, that I have been part of, one I'm still part of, and they're kind of focused a lot of on focusing, getting people to take down their carbon footprints, and local working on climate change. And then there's another group, Project Adapt, that really comes out of Jem Bendel, and I'm sure you know Jem Bendel.
Mhm.
And there's parallelism here. Only this is so much richer in what you've established, what we've established. So I'm thinking what I have to do is I have to reach out and see if I can get some cohorts from these other organizations to look at what you presented, the idea of getting reading groups or study groups. Maybe I can get some people to study with me the bioregional approach here and look at the different parts of our platform, and maybe get them to buy in and join. Because I'm still working with our Sonoma part of our hub, and we're kind of separate, right? Working on our own local watersheds. Anyway, I just want to say that this is really kind of a sparking kind of day, what we're here with. And so I just want to share that. I mean, I'm trying to find ways to light the fire a little bit more here, so.
Well, Pat, one of the things that Penny does is she watches all of the recordings of all of the meetings. Now just let that sink in, because you know how many groups are meeting. She watches them because she wants to make sense of what are people struggling with and what do they need, so that we can design for what comes next. And one of the things that Penny has been seeing in several of the regional coordinating groups is the exact frustration you're talking about, which is we're trying to get something going, and it's hard to get it to a place where it's actually got dynamism and energy. It's sort of like we're trying to just get it started, and then we're still trying to just get it started. And so there's a real need for getting over some kind of a hump in ability that takes a different kind of organizing, and not a lot of work, but just something a little different. And I think things like book clubs or going through a self-guided learning journey is a great example of, if you told people just sign up for the design school for 1 month, it's $5, and we'll do 6 sessions in that month because there's a 6-session self-guided learning journey, then it's like, well, maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't. But you've at least you've gotten over a hump of engagement. And there's also, like, my book is designed to have discussion questions at the end of each chapter. So it's designed for book clubs. So you could just like buy 5 copies of my book and start a book club with a couple of people. I'm just saying, like, these old organizing tactics are still here because they work. They're really good. It's really good to read a book together with a couple of your friends. Like, I had some friends in Seattle that did cocktails and books. They'd like basically drink together and hang out reading books, and they had so much fun. But the book club was the excuse to get together. And so these are techniques for building community that really work, is what I'm saying. And so what we're going to be doing with these design immersions is we're going to help to create templates and structures. How would you organize a 3-day event in Marin, Sonoma County, and then invite other members of the design school to it, as well as people in your own community, which can catalyze energy and action. So we're thinking of these kinds of things because of the frustration you're describing.
And also the bioregional, the learning guild, the leaders guild.
Bioregional Leaders Guild.
Yeah, that's to address some of this as well, so that
Sounds good.
leaders can get together and bring forward their challenges like you just did. And we can talk together about how do we support each other in organizing bioregionally as the leadership teams.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to say that support. I just want to express my gratitude to you two and everyone who I've gotten to know and just been part of this. It's been a wonderful 6 months. So thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. You've been an inspiration to us by your sheer devotion and the beauty of your quest. And for those who haven't, by the way, go into the Bioregional Learning Exchange and read Richard Coates' post about the birthing of the River Thames, a personal inquiry into coming to the place of readiness to embrace the holding of a bioregion. Holding a bioregion is something we do personally and collectively. And if we're not holding it personally, there is no holding it collectively. And those who are holding it personally come to hold it collectively. And so, Pat, you've been an inspiration by doing that. And so just keep doing that. And as you can see, we're listening and we see where we can go from here. So thank you so much. And then I see a few other hands are up, so we'll go over to Karen Limsky. Karen, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much. Again, echoing the gratitude messages this afternoon. I just want to share a couple of things that we're doing in Milwaukee that are a result of me connecting with Tiffany, who was on the call just a minute ago, but had to jump off, I think. One thing, I'm going to look into these permatours. I think that sounds really interesting. And Tiffany works, or she's a member of a homeschooling community and of families that are together, and we're going to do a full moon walk on the full moon in September, which is September 17th. We're meeting in a state park that is in the city of Milwaukee, so it's even accessible by transit. And so it's going to be the families with their kiddos, multi-generational. The landscape is the teacher. And hopefully we'll do more. We're just figuring it out. So we're doing that. I love reading groups. I mean, it's like the best part of teaching and the unstructuredness of it. And I have a copy of Joe's book, so I'll throw it out there that if someone wants to read Joe's book with me, with a group of us, I'm happy to convene and facilitate and do that sort of thing. So I'm throwing that out there. And just two more things. We put together, so Tiffany and I and my sister and a guy who runs the Milwaukee Indoor-Outdoor Gear Exchange program here in Milwaukee. We are doing the Regenerate MKE Street Fair October 20th here in the city of Milwaukee. I'm also working with the library to do a seed. They have a little tiny seed library, and I just want to nurture that. So we're going to do a seed exchange and collecting seeds for Milwaukee Public Library's lending library, the seed library, and kind of build out that, because I've done stuff like that before. So anyway, thank you for helping me to organize and get some coherence. And I'm continuing to kind of figure out what we're doing, and this is a great resource. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Karen. I love that you're organizing around families and kids. If I was anywhere nearby, like my daughter's mother is from Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is about not very far from you, really. I call it Wisconsin South because it's on the Illinois side of the border, but it's right there.
Yeah.
You guys have Devil's Lake and all kinds of awesome stuff not too far away. I would totally come and hang out with you guys for that walk if we were in the area. It just sounds awesome. So next time. I love that you're sharing all that you're doing. It's so beautiful. And now over to Peter. Peter, share with us.
Pete,
come on in.
Hi. So yeah, first of all, huge gratitude. I had no idea what I was getting into. I think it was the bioregional mapping that really caught my eye on a post, I think originally in LinkedIn, and I just had no idea. If you told me that, with the, creation of the Western Atlantic North Sea coastal bioregion, if you'd said that to me 6 months ago, you'd be involved in this, I just wouldn't have believed it. It's a beautiful story that's evolving. I'm loving every minute of it. So much support from Richard Coates and from Maria Elena, which has been so great. And we've got that. There's a lot of stuff moving around here on the, the Western Atlantic, on our side of the pond. The other thing which has been just brilliant and amazing has been Annalika's work in constellations. And that's been a real discovery to me. I love it, and I'm so grateful for everything that she's bringing in. I've been able to assist at two of the constellations that she's held, and that has been really amazing. So, big thanks to everyone. Big thanks to you, Joe and Penny, and it's just a brilliant experience. I'm so grateful.
I'm going to add a comment here because you just mentioned Annalika and Neil is next in the lineup. That Penny and I have spoken with Annalika and with Neil and Anne about the importance of bringing these really amazing leaders that are in the design school to help bioregions. And we're exploring the different ways that we can help with that. And so starting out, Annalika is offering to help online, but what if we can do things in our bioregions? So just a little hat nod to that. We're going in that direction. And then I'll pass it over to Neil, but it just seemed well timed. So Neil, over to you.
What a perfect segue. Thanks very much, Joe, for that. Just want to say how much I have enjoyed connecting with people across Europe and across the world. I see a lot of the work going on in the Americas. The connections that we've been able to make here in Europe that are deepening the networks, but also mutually assisting each other in terms of what Pete's doing in the UK, what Richard's doing in the UK, what Maria Elena is doing in France. And just want to also connect there the connection between Bill Bowie, who's in the group here today, thanks Bill, and R3.0 and their wonderful Tipping Points on Tipping Points conference, which we encourage everybody to sign up for if you can. That's the online conference. And the work that we're trying to bring together, which is trying to bridge that gap between collapse awareness, collapse acceptance, and place-based grounding of bioregionalism in the Low Countries. So we're holding a confluence, a coming together of people in a place in Belgium here next week to coincide with the R3.0 conference. We're not sure exactly how that's going to go. We've got a pretty good design. The content that's coming from R3.0 is excellent, and we're not sure whether next year would also lend itself to that, but the potential to bring high-level conceptual plural disciplines together and bring them to ground with people that are starting to realize the need for this. I think that's the bioregional synthesis that's needed to sort of bring this tornado or this vortex, this torus of bottom up and top down together with the funding ecosystems. So just wanted to say congratulations to you, Joe, and to Penny. Great to see you back here looking so happy and healthy again. And for the weaving that you've done, the structural work that you've done, the amazing amount of intellectual structuring and beautiful intuitive sensing into natural cycles that you've been able to bring. And Joe, for your incredible ability to synthesize in real time complex issues and come across with this beautiful presentation every time. It's just been a pleasure to watch. I look forward to walking forward with all of you and seeing what we can do together, and hopefully see a few of you online with the R3.0 mob when we bring our cohort of about 12 people that'll be together in a beautiful, I was going to say resort. It's not, it's an old cloister, to bring people together and potentially interact with the R3.0 online conference to say, this is how to bring it to ground. So that's what we're trying to do here. And also just a hand out to my beautiful partner here, Anne, and the work that we've been doing with the Creators Conversations, because part of the sense of being together in this space is the fact that we are collapse aware enough not to have to be arguing about the stuff that everybody else is still arguing about. And that allows us to move much further, much faster, find those people you can walk with further, faster, get on board with them and bring them together with other people. It's going to change the world. So go for it, guys. Well done.
Just going to add my conceptual diagrams with your diagrams and strategies. We got something going on to be continued. And then over to you, Richard.
Richard.
Yeah, I guess just the lineup of people speaking just shows the European connection that's formed through this learning journey, and yeah, that's something I've really loved. Yeah, I didn't know Neil before, I didn't know Anne before, I didn't know Pete before. I knew Maria Elena a tiny little bit, and everyone else, and Hert, and yeah, that's just been beautiful. And we formed our own atom. You know, there's a meeting every Friday. You know, the European call one Friday. It's, you know, European Western Atlantic the next Friday. So I know where I'm going to be each Friday. And there's just been, yeah. So I was thinking of your last finance lab you taught, Joe, and talking about finance as being value, and just thinking how much value is here. You know, it's, you know, you and Penny, you showed a picture of an ecosystem with sunlight coming into the water and plankton and smaller fish and whales, and, you know, just feel you and Penny have been the sunlight shining into the water, and all of this value that is, you know, with everyone here. There is so much value in the design school, and I'm with Penny. I listen to every single recording of every single meeting within the design school. It's usually when I'm washing up, and then that's just, ooh, everything connects together. And just to say lastly about birthing a bioregional learning center, yeah, it's been a really difficult, challenging process. And I guess what I've taken from this is that need to just transform when things collapse, when things don't work. Something new will emerge. And also at the heart of it, as you said in your last finance lab, Joe, that trust is key. And yeah, the person I was exploring something bigger with, when that collapsed, I've been working hard to restore that trust with that person, so that we can continue this journey together. And yeah, and I'd love to see people in person. So thank you, everyone here. It's been beautiful.
Yeah, and Richard, I just want to say, everybody should go read his post. I think it's linked in the chat. And like Richard, I feel like you also exemplify the inner work part of this, that you've been watching all the recordings, you've been, it's sort of like the permaculture approach. You've been watching, you've been waiting, you've been cultivating this in yourself, in the inside of you, and the integrity that you show, you know, to cultivate that kind of integrity, to say no to
University
a
affiliations.
university, and because it's not right, because you know inside of yourself it's not right. So I would just say that you exemplify, you know, the inner space part of this, and then moving into this outer work
And that you actually took the advice, just walk with the river.
yeah,
Like, just walk with the river. The river will teach you everything you need to know. It's so
Yeah.
true, isn't it? It's just profound.
yeah. So big bow to you, Richard.
Yeah, and we're all going to come play together in the UK, I can tell. More on that soon. Over to you, Maria Elena.
Thank you so much. I just feel the expression of gratitude on this call is so beautiful. I felt I wanted to add mine in. So absolutely, I also have learned a huge amount in the learning journey, but I feel like my learning started before that, Joe, and it was really a lot through the self-directed learning journeys. I watched all the recordings in there, and I got so much out of that last summer. And that was what really helped me get started. But the learning journey was super rich, mostly because of all the relationships that were formed. So that's really wonderful. And I just want to say that you guys have set the bar really high now. You know, just listen to all the gratitude for what's happened this year, and with what you've presented for next year, I think you've set up expectations really high as well. So I just wanted to let you know that. But I'm sure you can meet it. We can all meet it together. And it's all very, very exciting. Thank you.
I'm just going to mention, I see Bill Bowie's next in the lineup, and I can hold these high expectations because of the quality of people we're going to be working with. So that's a little hat tip to Bill in a second. But I just wanted to name the importance of something I said. I was asked to give a talk at Parsons School of Design in New York City about 10 years ago, where I was asked to apply for a tenure track faculty position. All the professors told me I shouldn't take the job because it's miserable. Just teaching spoiled rich brats designed to stay rich people within rich. It was like, you know, exactly what I would have hated. But the talk I gave was that design thinking is too small because we're not designing at the scale of what's needed. And if we designed at the scale of what's needed, guess what? It's audacious and ambitious. It's like, I'm not designing at the scale that's needed because I think I will succeed, but because I know anything less will fail, even if it succeeds. And it's that knowledge is like, well, screw it. Let's just create a planetary network of bioregions. Let's just, it's like what's actually needed. And so in a way, I'm sort of free from failure in that sense, and just want to name that, because it's the integrity of acting at the level that's needed, not the integrity of having succeeded. And that's such a big deal. So I just want to name that and then say, we'll be all right though, because we got Bill. No, we got a lot of good people.
And we got you.
Yeah, we got you. Anyway, but that was my excuse to pass it to Bill.
Thank you. I will try to live up to the expectation. I think there's kind of two interrelated things that I wanted to mention. One is to pick up on what Mary Elena just said, which is the relationality and the connections that were made throughout this process. And I think I want to note that at the same time that this design the learning journey was happening, Joe and Penny, you both visited the Housatonic River watershed to support the early launching work for Wellspring Commons with Kitu and Ches, and that brought about a kind of parallel meeting of people that has really been very rich. And then also during this period of the learning journey and through I think some discernment or just seeing what was present, really the forests of the Northeast emerged from sort of distinct initiatives that were happening adjacent to one another. So Wellspring Commons, Connecticut River Valley, that had been happening for quite a while, and Roberta up in at CB, at the Center for Ecology-Based Economies. And so that, I think, is something that's directly attributable to happening in the learning journey, and it wasn't necessarily pre-planned. So I wanted to really spotlight and appreciate that. And the other thing I wanted to do was just pick up on something that Neil said around the role of convening and gathering. And I really appreciate what he and Anne are doing this year around the R3.0 conference. So I kind of refused to do another in-person conference. I mean, Ralph, I think, would have gladly done it in person again. I was just like, I can't countenance the carbon footprint involved, and also my own body from years of travel. And so I kind of put my foot down, although now I'm sort of like, well, maybe next year an in-person could work. But but specifically, I was so pleased that Neil and Anne picked up on, yes, and there is still value in in-person gathering. And so the fact that they're convening in person, I want to bridge this to, I think that there is real value in having these kinds of convenings on a bioregion by bioregion basis that are linked together. And so the links that I put up in the chat to the conversations that were sort of really kind of focused on this history of bioregional congressing. I think that that's really an idea that it's time for revitalizing that. And I understand, I've been in conversation with David Henke about revitalizing that at a planetary level in the future. And I understand that there's conversation already happening on the North American continental scale bioregional Congress. So it's just a seed that I want to plant for picking up on this idea of using in-person convening as a way forward for the bioregioning movement. That's it.
just gonna add a comment that this is exactly why the learning journey next year is how to organize your bioregion while these immersions are being organized. So we're gonna learn and do and learn and do and learn and do through those cycles of different places organizing. Because each place organizing learns something different. And we're about to pass to Victoria, who helped organize the stop in Rochester in one of our first bioregional activations. And the role of organizing, you learn a lot about who won't collaborate. You learn who will. You learn so much other stuff. You just learn. You learn, you learn, you learn. So that's my excuse to transition to Victoria. But it's really a big deal to practice organizing. So with that, Victoria.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. You know, I've been involved for years, and while we haven't made tangible, you know, like seeing it visible progress, we keep talking to people and everyone just sees the vision, loves it. And the other day I was talking to the person who started the very successful Brighton Farmers Market here in Rochester. And I shared what we were doing in the bigger picture because we've met a couple of times. And as soon as I started talking about it, she said, "Have you seen the farm proposal we put in?" And her eyes lit up like, here is hope that maybe as a bioregional learning center, that the town would approve using these many acres that we have that are doing nothing, and to resuscitate that. So you never know when something's going to really hit with someone who's central and highly credible and who's done amazing things. So people who are kind of working at it slowly, don't think it's making a difference, you know, just one contact can open up, you know, miles of possibility. And I find that everywhere that we go. So it's just looking for our time to focus, and it is happening. Thanks. And just, you've done incredible work. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the next learning journey. And I feel like through the osmosis and all the training, we do know the fundamentals of what we're doing in organizing our bioregion, and doing it at a bioregional scale, which sounds humongous, but there's so much value in that. So thank you for your continued passion. Love it. Keep learning.
We just had to add a high five. That was all.
For you.
For you, Victoria, and for the Genesee River, and
Yeah.
for the southern shore of Lake Ontario, and for the Finger Lakes,
Yes.
and for the forests of northeastern Ohio, and we'll get to the
Right.
Susquehanna soon, you know.
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Victoria. And over to you, Aletta.
Hi, Joe and Penny. Yeah, I'm just in awe. I really have to say that this has been one of the sort of leaps of orbit almost for me. My learning journey really started 30 years ago when I managed to move into systems thinking through holistic management with Alan Savory's work, and that was like a big thing. And then 10 years later, I took another leap with Rudolf Steiner's work around biodynamic agriculture. And now I'm experiencing the same thing where I'm actually seeing people doing what I've been looking for through all my learnings, where one can really focus on relationships between people and making that happen on the ground. And so I'm extremely grateful, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing this journey. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Aletta. And thank you, everyone. I just want to add a personal comment as a way of inviting this session into a close. Because you all know how much I talk about my daughter, what it's meant for me to choose to be a parent, knowing what I know about the world, and the responsibility that that's given me. And now my daughter's 7.5 years old. She's going to a beautiful, thriving Waldorf school that we birthed at the beginning of this year. In parallel with this learning journey, the Sueños del Bosque School opened its doors on February 1st. So like a month earlier, we were starting the Waldorf school. And watching the parallels between what is happening in our community in Barichara and what's happening in all of your communities through this online learning space. And then for us to get to visit many of you and see it and experience it and see you, below the Zoom box to see us as people, has just been phenomenal. And what I feel is coming is I feel the coming, as I've mentioned on a few occasions, the massive flow of money into this space, most of which will be wasted. I can pretty much guarantee bureaucracies, ignorance, and idiots are going to mess it all up. But if we can get a little bit more of it to go where it needs to go, it's going to make all the difference. And that's a huge deal. And the main thing is our ability to be organized. And our ability to be organized in its essence is, do we know each other? Do we trust each other? Can we do things together? Do we know each other? Do we trust each other? Can we do things together? Look at us, holding a space for doing things across so many different bioregions. And we're just a sampling of the earth. We're just a sampling. This is all in English. We're mostly white. We're mostly North America, a little bit of Europe, a little bit of other places, but we're a slice of the earth. And this is still so beautiful and so rich. So just think when we bring in more of Africa, when we bring in Southeast Asia, when we bring in the rest of Latin America, not to the design school, into the coherence of this way of patterning our lives, the coherence of patterning ourselves to living systems. And Bioregional Learning Centers, Danilo Meadows was right in 1983. This is the best way to organize ourselves. And now we have a lot more people who know what a bioregion is, who know what bioregional learning is, who know what a bioregional learning center is. First, it's not a center, right? It's an ecosystem, etc. All of these things that are like that. A year ago, Penny and I were watching these words being thrown around and people had no idea what they meant. And look at the coherence of us and how much coherence that brings to the world. So the thing that I ask of you is to carry this coherence forward. Just bring it forward to wherever it goes next for you. And remember that you have all of these friends that you didn't have 6 months ago, who will be there to celebrate you, to cry with you, to support you, and sometimes to roll up their sleeves and just do the damn work right next to you. And so this is how we do it. This is how we regenerate the earth. So onward, fellow humans. Let's do this. And thank you, everyone.